Show, which will be held every Wednesday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. live on Facebook and on YouTube channel. And here with me is our guest speaker, ready on our first episode of this show, and he'll be tackling on depression. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Unga. My name is Malin Limo, a student at the Technical University of Mombasa, pursuing nautical science, and I'm glad to be here.
On to our first question, Mr. Malin. What is depression according to your own understanding?
Depression is a mental condition characterized by feelings of severe despondency and dejection, also with feelings of guilt and sadness.
Does it have to be severe for it to be said to be a depression?
No, most cases of the depression are not severe, and that is why they can be treated or handled by non-medical practitioners.
And what are the kind of possible causes that may lead to depression?
Possible causes of depression are conflicts. So conflicts may occur when we have prolonged or persistent conflicts with their partner. These may cause stress And of course, having lots of stress will also uh, be directed to people. And because those feelings cannot be directed to people, feelings of sadness cannot be directed to other people um, directly, they usually come back to the person directing them. So prolonged feelings of the sadness will always lead to depression.
Apart from conflict, what else can lead to depression?
Health problems. Uh, we have people who have been battling health issues for a long time. So these health problems that are occurring often will always lead, or most of them lead to depression, lead to feelings of unworthiness. And those feelings of unworthiness are signs of depression.
Unworthiness to mean that this particular individual may not feel fit in that particular society, or
Yes, that is one way to look at it. Unworthiness in the sense of you don't feel like you deserve something. So in this case, health problem, it has been there for a very long time, to an extent that you feel you don't deserve to have good health. So those feelings of persistent feelings of not deserving to have good health will always will always lay down the feelings of happiness. You don't feel happy because you think in your mind that you don't deserve to be healthy.
apart from those two, we have various people who are of different ages in this current society, and they undergo different kind of problems, and these different kind of problems may lead them to depression. We can compare a 65-year-old man and a 35-year-old woman. They may not undergo the same kind of causes that may affect them in their current generation. So apart from conflict and health problems, what else, Mr. Marlin, can be a cause of depression in this society?
The other one is losing a loved one, death in general. So being a 65-year-old or a 35-year-old, death comes unexpectedly. So it will always affect all ages, because we all feel grief in one part of life. So I think death is another cause of depression.
I can take an example. I would like to ask you a question.
Okay.
For example, we have children who have both parents. Yes, they have both parents. Their parents are not dead. And they're in a particular family where the needs are unmet. Would you say that these children will undergo depression?
Yes, to some extent, it is a possible cause of depression, because those constant unmet needs, they'll at a point in their life cause stress. And of course, if you have something that is unmet, you will feel sad about it. So prolonged sadness will at one point lead to depression.
And what are the kind of unmet needs that these particular children, either male or female, may undergo?
So let's take an example of a boy. So this boy has both parents, but is unloved by the father. Has the mother's love, but not loved by the father. That fatherly figure, our fatherly love, is not there. So growing up will at one point lay a toll on him.
So lack of love, lack of the feeling to belong in a family may also make this boy or this girl undergo depression.
Yes.
Can spiritual problems lead to depression?
Yes, spiritual problems can lead to depression.
What kind of spiritual problems?
So let's take an example of a Christian. So a Christian has a platform whereby they can project their fears, they can project their worries. But let's take a person who does not consider himself or does not belong to a certain spiritual affiliation. So having nowhere to project those fears, to project that anger, to project those inadequacies, it can cause it will always cause depression at some point.
In a society where we have individuals who dwell in a place where there is no God, they don't believe if there is God. They have this kind of problem where someone gets to believe in false beliefs. Maybe this person is being affected by different kind of problems where in this particular society or in this particular community, this person is affected by lack of knowledge to know this and this, or to fail to know what to believe and what not to believe in a society. So in other words, can false beliefs lead to depression?
Yes, false beliefs can lead to depression. So in the current society, we are living with people with from different levels and walks of life. So other people, that the intentions in life are not seen. So they'll manipulate you to see that certain things are supposed to be done this way and the others are not supposed to be done this way. So those beliefs, those stresses and constant pressure to believe in something may cause stress on this particular person that is being made to believe these false beliefs that probably there is no God, so there is no way you can. They're forced to turn into things like science. So that feeling that being told constantly there's no God, so science is the only thing that can explain this. They turn that knowledge and look for something in science, but they will not find, because it is can only be given by the Holy Spirit, can only be given by believing in God. I think that can lead to depression.
From the causes of depression that you have talked about, which one among these has affected you in your life?
So far, I don't think I have faced any, fortunately. But feelings of sadness, feelings of grief from death, I think has affected all of us in one way or another. Yeah.
And since you pointed it out that the feeling of sadness and the feeling of grief has come across in your life, how are you able to identify that this is grief and this is sadness?
So sadness, there is a difference between sadness and depression. Sadness, you can pick a certain reason that is making you sad, but depression, you can't explain it. It is just there. You cannot shake it off. Sadness will take a certain period of time, and it's supposed to have subsided. But depression is recurring. It comes and goes. Sometimes it is persistent.
Are there possible signs and symptoms that can be identified in an individual who is undergoing through depression?
Yeah, there are signs and signs and symptoms to depression.
And what are they?
So the most common one is lack of interest in those things that you were previously interested in, those things that were previously making you happy. So all of a sudden, there's no interest in those things. Probably you are a footballer, but all of a sudden you just don't want to see people playing football, or you don't want to be that picture playing football. Yeah.
Can lose. Okay, from my own understanding, when you get to love to do something, then at the end of it all you begin hating it. There has to be a reason behind as to why you are hating. You've lost interest in whatever you loved doing before. So that does this mean that your interest can at the end turn into a depression?
I think the lack of interest is the one thing that we can say is driving you to depression, because you cannot be interested in something for the past 2 weeks. Let's say, give an example of that, and then all of a sudden you just don't want to do it. I think to one way or another, that is a sign of depression.
What else can you say that a 19-year-old boy or a 16-year-old girl is going through depression? What are these possible signs and symptoms that can be identified from these two individuals?
So you have mentioned the age, and we understand that being a teenager, you're always full of energy. You always want to do something. So at that age, we don't expect you to lack energy to do something or to do your chores. So that lack of energy to do your everyday chores, to do your everyday duties, is one sign of depression.
So when one stops being energetic, what if this individual tells you, we take an example. For example, if I'm a mother and my daughter tells me, I end up seeing my daughter sleeping throughout the whole day, and I come ask her, why are you sleeping, Atieno? And my daughter tells me that, Mom, I'm tired. From my human nature, I will definitely believe that she is tired because she is exhausted from the physical outlook, from the physical appearance. She may look tired. So how can I dig deep into it and tell that she is not tired, she is undergoing through depression? At times, our physical appearance may end up deceiving us. We may see that this particular individual, especially teenagers, they really keep a lot of secrets. It's very hard for them to open up. So how am I going to tell that maybe this person lacking energy, or if this person is exhausted? It may not be just a normal exhaustion from a particular job that this individual has done or this teenager has done. So what can make me tell that this is depression?
So the first thing you'll probably have to consider is that they are feeling exhausted. They are feeling they have feelings of loss of energy, not because they have done something, but by just sitting there, like they just don't have interest to do anything. So finding your daughter sleeping all the time, finding your daughter having difficulty in doing their chores, that is one thing that is going to show you this person is not having a healthy relationship with others or feeling depressed.
We'll be going for a short break and we'll be right back in a few minutes. Welcome back to the Solution Show. Welcome back to the Solution Show. We will proceed with the signs and symptoms of depression, onto which our guest speaker is going to take us through.
Thank you very much. I think the other sign of depression is loss of appetite and feelings of anxiety and agitation, frustration. Yeah.
Anxiety. There is so much on anxiety. If someone is anxious, what can make someone anxious until this person may end up becoming depressed?
So anxiety may come from different things. Either it may be from the past, or probably what is going to happen in the future. So let's take an example of a Form 4 student. They had a very long break during the corona period, that break, and then they have the pressure to perform in those examinations. So that feelings of anxiety, anxiety to perform, anxiety that maybe they'll fail in this examination. So that constant feelings of anxiety may lead to depression, and they may not know about it until it is diagnosed.
All right. That is so deep. Apart from anxiety, Mr. Marlin, how can this mother of a teenage year old know that this child of his or of hers is going through depression?
So there is slowed thinking and loss of concentration. So let's give an example of you having a conversation with your kid or your child, and instead of answering the question you had asked, they talk of something else. That obviously will trigger or will ring a bell in your mind. This kid is not normal. There is something wrong with this child. So that is one sign. And those all those signs that we talked about. If the child has more than 5 of them, or anyone, that is a sign of depression.
So if your child, viewers, has more than 5 or 5 of the symptoms that Mr. Marlin has mentioned, your child is depressed. So how can you help this parent or this teenage or this 35-year-old man or this 65-year-old woman be able to overcome depression?
So there are several methods of handling those people with depression. So first of all, you'll have to realize that this person is undergoing something. So the first thing is ask questions of how they're feeling. Try to understand their feelings. Ask the kind of sadness they're feeling, the kind of anxieties they're having. That will help in diagnosing if this person is going through depression or starting to have depression.
So this is how this mother or this father should help their son.
Yes, I think that is one way of dealing. These are the other ways. If you want to know this kid has depression, or if you have already found out this person has depression, first thing is to stay connected. You can deal with depression on your own, or have people to deal with depression with you. So the first thing, if you're alone dealing with the depression, the first thing is stay connected to people. Go out more, do things that made you happy, and that will help in relieving these feelings of sadness, and of course show you that there's more to that. There's more to life than the depression you're feeling.
Stay connected. In a scenario where a parent is not connected to their children, or this parent is not a father figure, or this parent is not a mother figure, you encourage this parent to be connected to their children. So staying connected to their children may also help them to be able to know what they are going through.
Yes, that's true, because if you have a relationship with your child, they'll have the freedom to tell you what they're feeling. So if this kid tells you, I feel sad at this for this period of time and I don't know what's happening, that is one sign that this child is crippling into depression or is already depressed.
Connection comes in two ways. According to what Mr. Marlin had said, connection comes in two ways. It comes in the parent side and in the individual side, where these parents should be connected to their children in one way or another, so that they may be able to get to know when the children has a problem and where the children has the their children have the problem. And in the second way is for them who are affected with this depression. They're not supposed to isolate themselves. They're supposed to associate themselves with other people. This will help them to overcome depression.
Yes.
Apart from staying in connection, what else, Mr. Marlin, can help them overcome depression?
So if you're talking about the individual, I think doing things yourself. Of course, we found out that one sign of depression is finding difficulty in doing those easy chores that you used to do. So one way is trying to do things yourself. If it is cleaning the house, do it yourself. Of course, will always give you to battle depression on your own. The other one is, if you're talking about a friend, you're having a friend who is in depression. So trying to listen to them is one way you can help them. So talk about their feelings, talk about the experiences, what they're going through, validate those feelings that they're telling you. So that is one way you can help battle that or help that person dealing with depression.
Try and listen to this friend. Not, is it only listening or also not judging this friend?
Of course, not judging. So there's one thing that most people do wrong, and it is comparing their feelings. Don't compare your feelings to them. So if for example, I am the one depressed and I'm talking to you, telling you I feel sad, I have been going through this and this. One mistake you should not do is talking to me about your experiences. That even me, I felt like this at this time, this and this happened to me. So I think the one thing that you should do is validate those feelings. Tell them it is okay to feel this way. It is okay to have such kind of feelings and thoughts. But then empathize and feel empathy. Show empathy to them and interest. In this case, through your body language. So if I'm talking to you and I'm telling you I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling sad. So the one thing you can do, how you can show interest with your body language is holding my hand, for example, or giving me a hug. That is one way you can show interest and show empathy.
Show empathy. What is empathy?
Empathy is not feeling sorry for the other person. Empathy is, how should I put it? Empathy is accepting that these feelings come in. It is trying to show them it is okay to have these feelings. Yeah.
And you've mentioned as one of the causes to depression is lack of appetite.
Yes.
I assume an individual or a teenager or an old man skips his meals for, let's assume, for around 2 weeks. He may not skip it consecutively, but he may not take some of his meals during the day. And if he lacks appetite, it will definitely affect his physical health. So, how can this individual help himself to regain back his physical health?
So there there are medication that can help bring back the appetite. So first of all, you'll have to see a medical practitioner so that these medications can be prescribed. Of course, you cannot just go to over the counter and ask for these prescriptions. You have to have directions from the doctor that go and take these and these medicines that will help bring that appetite. So that's one way of regaining your appetite.
And on food, since this person lacks appetite, what can you advise that this individual will take so that they can be able to regain back their appetite?
So on foods, of course, fruits are a very good way of increasing your appetite. One thing, the other one is taking foods that have high quantities of vitamin B. That is one way of increasing your appetite. Apart from food, a lot of exercise. Exercise will always give you a way of creating that need to eat because you've already burned some calories at the gym probably. So coming back home, those feelings to eat, and obviously trying to eat a balanced diet will help.
Exercise. How long can you advise this individual to do their exercises? And should these exercises be extreme, or should they just be simple exercises like taking a walk, skipping a skipping rope for around 15 minutes? Or should this individual go to the gym and lift weights?
So exercises, they differ. So if you're new to exercise, obviously you won't go and lift heavy weights at the gym. You take it step by step. If it is running in the morning, take a 1 kilometer run just once in the morning, so that those feelings of happiness can creep in. If it is doing sit-ups at your place, do at least 20 sit-ups. Of course, you have to those baby steps, small progressions. Those will help.
1 kilometer run. Assumingly, I'm 80 kilograms. Assumingly, I'm 80 kilograms. And here you're telling me to run 1 kilometer, of which 30 meters I can't even make it. How will you help me? If running doesn't suit me, what else can suit me?
Of course, it doesn't have to be running, but running is something that all of us can do if you are not physically challenged. But of course, making that 50-meter run is progress. The first thing you have to understand is exercises are things that challenge your mind. And of course, we talked about depression is something that is mental. So if you can challenge yourself to do this duty for a certain period of time, you can obviously take time to run that 1 kilometer, 50 meters at a time. It doesn't have to be that 1 kilometer at the time, 50 meters at a time.
I'll pose the question again to you. How long can you advise an individual to run their exercises?
So it doesn't have to be long. An average exercise is 2 hours. That is for a person who is experienced, an average exercise. But if you're starting out, 30 minutes exercise is enough. Skip rope for 15 minutes, do your sit-ups for 10 minutes, run for the next 5 minutes, then you can warm down. That is enough.
2 hours. 2 hours. You just said 2 hours.
That is the least you can do at the gym.
The least.
Yeah.
We'll be going for another short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to this show, the show of the solution. Thank you very much, Jerry Joe, for joining to our channel. Victor Masiongo, we appreciate you so much. Moses Mochiemo, thank you very much for joining in. Shani Rai, we are glad you tuned in. And Bright Link Media, thank you very much for tuning in. And we will proceed with the last part of this topic on the depression. We would like Mr. Marlin to tell us how can you relate, where can hope come from the Bible, that you could tell these individuals, the viewers with us who are joining us here, that the kind of verses that, what does God tell us? How does God comfort us when we are depressed?
Thank you very much. So the Bible has so many verses that is giving the Christian today hope that that God is with us in all this depression and suffering that is around. So the first verse is Isaiah 41:10. Isaiah 41:10, and it says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand." So that is Isaiah 41:10. The next one is Philippians 4:6-8. "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your request be known to God." The next is 1 Peter 5:7. 1 Peter 5:7. "Cast all your anxieties on him, because he cares for you." The other one is Proverbs 3:5-6. Proverbs 3:5-6. "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him. He will make straight your paths."
The Bible is very clear. The Lord gives us hope. And in the verses that we have heard today, the 5 verses that he has read today, the Lord is giving us hope. I like to encourage those who are going through depression that the Lord is giving you hope. He is assuring you of hope, that you should not be afraid. For those who are afraid of reaching out, reach out to those whom you trust, to those whom you think can help you. Reach out and seek help. Again, I would like to quote a saying that says that no man is an idol. You cannot help yourself. We all need help from one another. Dear friends, if anyone approaches you to ask you for help or to seek for help from you, that this person is going through either grief or depression, kindly be ready to assist. We all know that during these times, it's all difficult for all of us, and we may not know what each and every one of us is going through. We should all spread love and provide hope. And above all, we should seek God. I just like how it has been quoted in the Bible that we should seek hope, that we should not be anxious. God is telling us that we should not be anxious. He is telling us again that we should cast all our anxieties on him. We should all run to God. We should all ask God for help. And I believe that you've all been blessed by this session. Thank you very much for tuning in, and see you next week on Wednesday at 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Still live on the same YouTube channel and the Facebook channel. Well, thank you.